Thank you, Coach. Welcome to the post-match press conference. Thank you so much for joining us. We will start with Mubin.
Hi, good evening, Jake. Commiserations on the defeat tonight. Jake, it's the second loss in a row. Just your reflection on this game and last week as well. You guys are obviously, the defense has been very poor and you guys have been out-muscled for 2 weeks in a row. Is it not time for a bit of reflection and a bit of introspection going forward?
Yeah, maybe I just need to help you on that. I mean, obviously that's your interpretation of it. I don't think we're out muscle today at all. I thought we played quite well at times. Defensively when we leaked a couple of tries again from close quarters. But they're a good team, Mubin. I mean, I said it to you the whole week as well. I mean, 6 forwards on the bench, internationals. I think one player has got more internationals or more Munster games than the whole team put together of ours have got URC games. So I was proud of the way the boys fought back. It's a good learning curve for them. And it's not ideal. I mean, you don't like to lose, but we had this time last year. You know, we lost to Leinster 31-3 in the first game of the year, and we ended up playing Leinster in the semi-final. So there's a long way to go, Mubin. So I don't think losing these 2 games, you know, against the talented Glasgow side with lots of internationals and a Munster side with lots of internationals, they're not going to be at the bottom of the log, Munster. They will definitely be near the top.
Thank you. We will go to Ashfaq.
Hi, Jake. Just perhaps from last week to this week, I think you spoke in the week about the things you want to improve, but the line-out delivery wasn't quite there. The mauling, securing the ball and getting momentum wasn't quite there. Was it because of conditions or just Munster was just better on the night?
Yeah, again, Ashfaq. I mean, you guys do a great summary of the thing. I mean, they're raining and 6 forwards on the bench and, you know, internationals all over the field. Young hooker that's throwing in. It's not easy. Good contesting in the line-out. And yet we were still at the end of the game, still, you know, fighting and showing a lot of resilience. So, I mean, Ashfaq, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but we're still a long way from where we need to be. We've got really young guys in certain positions. You know, if you look at our 2, 8, 9, 10, and 15, I mean, they're youngsters, you know, and that's the backbone of any team. And compared to, you know, international at 2, international at 8, international at 9, international at 10. I mean, for them, and last week and next week, and obviously the teams that we play against. I was watching the Sharks today. You got Bongi and, you know, and the list just goes on. So Ashfaq, it's I'm not saying that I'm happy about not getting a win, but at the same time, I'm a realist about where we are as a team. You know, I think they've showed this team can play. We probably didn't, you know, against conditions didn't help us tonight. We probably kicked a little bit inaccurately, but again, it's difficult. There was such a strong wind that if you kicked, I'm sure you saw once or twice, you kick contestables, you could end up with the ball coming back to you, and therefore you kick it a bit long, and then it looks like you've given the opposition a free run. So it was difficult, but when you've got Conor Murray and obviously the players that they have, then they get used to those conditions.
Thank you, Ashfaq. We will go to Gobas.
Thanks, Lunga. Jake, is it frustrating that it was basically a repeat of last week's game to in the second half try to play catch-up rugby?
Yeah, Kobus, I mean, that is the thing. It's so difficult when you play against good sides to give them a start. And at 14-3, when you're playing against Munster with the caliber of players they have, and as I said, 6 forwards on the bench. Conditions were always going to be in the forwards' favour. You saw at the end there how they defended their line bravely at the end there, Kobus. I mean, that's, again, you know, that probably, as I said, it's local knowledge that also helped them. You know, they won the toss and decided to play with the wind in the second half. So even then, they proved to me that you know, they know the conditions and they wanted to play the conditions well. And the worst thing we could do, Kobus, was give them a 14-3 start, because obviously in the second half it was always going to be difficult.
Thank you, Kobus. We will go to Caleb.
Yeah, Jake, just a quick one. Thanks, Lunga. In terms of the defense, we saw Johan Hussein was a little bit off pace, and Wandi seemed to have been targeted with the high ball on the wings there. Do you think in terms of selection as well, and the combinations picked today was right in terms of the conditions we were walking into in Munster?
Caleb, to be fair, that's what we have. There's not an international side where you can change. I mean, you basically have what you have. So we got to, and they got to grow. A guy like you could play Bismarck to Plessis in the beginning of the game and take Jan Hendrik out of that game, but what does he learn? Absolutely nothing. What does Wandi learn unless he's under pressure in Munster with up and unders coming up towards him? So I mean, Caleb, I want you guys to understand it's not the end of the world. We this time last year we were in the same boat. Touring is very difficult. I think Ulster came very close to losing to the Lions at Ellis Park today, and Sharks won easily against Glasgow. So, the away and the home records here are much in favour of the home teams. So I'm not, we've got a lot of home games. We've won an away game already against the Lions, and you see how important that Lions game was, considering how good they are at home now as well. So no, I don't think it's selection. I think the reality is they've got to learn. I can't hide them. I've got to put them in the pressure situations. And all the youngsters have to grow in these situations. And I know that over time, they'll all get better.
Thank you, Caleb. Ashfaq?
Jake, Johan Hussein, he didn't come out for the second half. The commentators were saying he had an HIA. Is he okay? And also Corner Hendricks didn't come out?
Yeah, so Cornell, I think his groin was a bit tight, so I didn't want to risk him. And you're right. I mean, that's exactly what happened to right just before half time. He fell on his back, and I think he got a bit of whiplash. And the HIA, the ruling here is that you can get called off by the medical doctor, and the match day doctor called him off and tested him, and I don't think he passed that HIA test, which meant he wasn't allowed back, Ashfaq. So it was, again, a bit disruptive because you got a new winger and a new fly half straight away after half time. And, it's not ideal because you only got 3 backs on the bench and 2 of them go literally at half time. So it was a little bit of a mix and match. But again, as I said, I'm fully confident that we'll get it right. That's fact. We'll get it right. We'll get better. We'll learn from this, and we'll become a good team.
Jack, just on that, I hear you, and obviously the youngsters will learn through experience. But perhaps some of your more senior players, do you perhaps expect a bit more from them? They've been through that, they've been around the block, and didn't really happen tonight.
Like who, Ashfaq?
Well, the breakdowns were an issue.
But I'm saying, which players you're talking about? Which senior players? And I mean, the bottom line is, as I said, it's the senior players. I thought Harold played quite well today. I thought Lionel was quite good today. Defended quite well. Kirtley was obviously growing as well as the game was going on. So, yeah, I think it's as I said, we've got a really young group of players. This is a wonderful place to play rugby. Munster stadium's fantastic, great atmosphere, and I'm sure we'll come back here next year or 2 years time from now, because you don't play them. We might even come back into the year. Let's see how it goes. But we'll get better. I'm fully confident we'll get better.
Thank you, Ashfaq. Carl?
Jake, when will learning become less important than winning? At what time of the season will you make that decision that winning is more important than actually learning?
When you win, Carl, that's when it becomes more important. You can't fast track anything, Carl. I was looking again today. Just look at that Sharks team. They got 5-6 Springboks on the bench. They've got current Springboks on the bench. The reality is I'm not giving something that you don't know. We have to learn. I can't fast track anything. The only way you're going to get it is you put people in that environment. And last year we won big games at the back end of the comp. But playing away, you look at the records, Carl. You look at every game. My phone now is looking. I think Edinburgh won at home, Sharks won at home, Munster won at home. It's a tough competition to get on an aeroplane and fly and think you're going to go and beat teams away from home. So, the learning for me is how we grow as a team, especially when we play big games, and Munster's a big game. So, next week we play Benetton. I think there's, 90% of the Italian team plays for Benetton. So it doesn't get any easier. You play Benetton next week, and it's like, as I said, another international group of players that are playing against you. Whereas, we're still very far off from having international players in our team.
Thank you, Carl. We will go to Mubin.
Jake, you speaking about the team growing and obviously learning. You obviously have a short turnaround. You're playing Benetton on Friday. So how do you fix it now with a short turnaround, Jake?
Well, yes. If I knew the answer to that, I would bottle it and sell it. I think. I'm obviously the selections this week will be important. I think we'll have to look and see the injuries. A guy like Person, if he's not available, can't play. So that makes it easy. Then obviously Chris and Mornay will be involved in the 10 jersey. But I think what's important now is that it's not just hit and miss every week. It's about understanding this competition is a long tournament. We've just got to be alive at the back end of the competition, and then anything's possible. Then we've got to play our best rugby at the back end of the competition like we did last year. So it's what it is. It's about being I suppose balanced in the way that you are as a coach, balanced as you are as a group, and just making sure that whatever we can is give ourselves a fair chance for Friday to win. And that means how we prepare, how we look after each other, how we train, the selections we're going to make, and just keep staying positive. Maybe that's important. If I listen to you guys, I think I would want to go and stand on top of a building and jump.
And I think Jake as well, just trusting the process as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said, I sort of wax lyrical to you guys all the time, but that's what it is. It's we got a very young group. Last year we far super, we exceeded our expectations and we did well. And I know we can do well, but we also, people are now taking the tournament seriously. They take the bull seriously. It's a compliment to me that Munster put 6 forwards on the bench. It's a compliment. They obviously see us as a team that they take seriously. They see us as a team. We've got a big forward pack and a nice forward pack, and yet 5 of our forwards are still 24 years old or younger.
Caleb?
Yeah, Jake, just to go back to that forward pack, not to take anything away from Sipiwe, Mornay, Dylan and Jacques, are you looking at boosting that front row a little bit in terms of the 1 and 3 positions as the season is still long and there's still a lot more to come? There's a couple that are probably free agents. Just to hint, are you looking at any of that, seeing how the pack performed in the past 2 weeks?
No, I'm not. When we sign, we're obviously chasing some players, which will obviously get out of contract, and then we'll obviously announce who we're going to sign. But at this stage, I don't believe the scrum, or we scrum quite nicely tonight. I don't think the scrum or our forward pack, I also remember as well, Caleb, it's very important. You've got to have money and you've got to have spots in your team. South Africa have got they've got a rule on how many players you can have in your squad, and they've got a rule on how much money you can spend. So it's not as simple as if someone comes out of contract, you just go and find 8 million rand or 7 million rand and make a spot for it. So at this point in time, we have to do with what we have.
Thank you, Caleb. Kobus?
Jake, just a word on V.A. Steenkamp and the impact David Creel had when he came on. And just also Kirtley, obviously it's not ideal conditions for him, but he was quite brilliant tonight.
Yeah, Kobus, I thought V.A. played quite nicely. That's his first start in a long time. Thought he played quite nicely with that combination as well. And considering we lose Marcel in a couple of weeks to Japan, it's nice to know we've got another loose forward like Vieja in the wing. So we've got him. And as you said, David came on nicely. I thought just was a bit unlucky with that, playing the guy in the air, as I said. I don't think that was I understand why he did it. And I think if he had let the guy go, the guy carries on running and probably gets through the hole. So it was a bit silly, but saying that he played quite nicely, and then Kirtley he's getting better and better. That's not ideal conditions for him, and yet he still looked as though he was comfortable running in those tough conditions.
Cool. Caleb, I'm not sure if that's a new hand.
Yeah, well, it's just a final one to say. With the youngsters, surely when this comes to come together, it'll be a nice pokey that teams will start to fear more, that they might need to get more Springboks, not just 6 on the bench internationals like they had today. And hopefully you probably can't wait for that time to come.
Well, Caleb, I mean, that's it. I think you now understand what I'm saying is it's going to take time. We'll get there. I mean, I'm not, I've been doing this job long enough to know we'll get there. It was tough. It's tough because you play against all these experienced players and they're good. And it's not nice when you're on the receiving end of a loss, but these young boys will grow. They will grow. And also getting back to your point, we've got to try and get some guys in the next couple of years to strengthen them as well, which we're busy with now as well, because we know what we've got in guys that are staying with us. It's about how we can make our squad stronger in the next couple of seasons.
One final one from Ashfaq.
Jack, any other injury concerns firstly? And then secondly, looking at Benetton, is there anything particular that you feel you need to change and improve on to turn things around?
Ashfaq, no, those are only 2 injuries that are, I mean, obviously at this point in time when I left to come up here, that was the only 2 I'd heard. And they'll obviously go and get checked now. And yeah, I mean, the only thing we got to now do is just be positive. We've been to Benetton, we've lost there in a Rainbow Cup final. They, as I said, with a very good bunch of Italian players that play for the national side. I see they got they were on the receiving end of a loss to and a bad loss to Edinburgh. So I've got no doubt they too will be working hard this week. So we just got to make sure that we get there and we start preparing as well as we can for Friday night, because it's a really short turnaround as well.
Thank you so much, Coach. Thank you so much, members of the media.
Thanks,
I will send you the
Thanks, Jack. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Cheers, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks,
Good evening.
Lunga. Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Lunga. Cheers, Jake. All right.